Welcome, dear students, the public, brethren, and my learned friends. I'm going to deliver my third talk in this series. I'm Dr. M.W. Padmaraji. Today, I am specially going to talk of legal systems of Sri Lanka. When you see this topic, you might wonder what this legal system in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka doesn't have one legal system. It is not practical. It is not possible for a person to have one legal system also because we are governed by different legal systems, different acts, different ordinances because we are facing different situations in our lives. For instance, Sri Lanka has many legal systems like Kandyan law, Desavalami, Muslim law, Roman Dutch law. These are the legal systems which are mainly mentioned as personal laws. Now, Kandyan law is a personal law. Desavalami is a personal law. Muslim law is the personal law, which is very specially we can mention that it is the special law, personal law, because that is the law which governs people who have extreme faith in God, Allah, Almighty Allah. Other legal systems have their special characteristics like territorial and personal, both aspects, because sometimes it is applicable to certain parts of Sri Lanka, especially. We can say it territorial, Pradeshiya. Whatever it is, all these legal systems, except Muslim law, have a personal and territorial both matters. That is to say, those who live in Kandyan provinces and those who live in Jaffna Peninsula. That matters a person to be governed by Desavalame or Kandyan law. In other words, that is a personal characteristic and territorial characteristic. All those people who are living within Kandyan provinces are not governed by Kandyan law. Some are governed by Roman Dutch law. The Roman Dutch law is the law which is accepted as the common law of Sri Lanka. This specially applies to Sinhalese who are living in maritime provinces and Tamils who are living in the eastern province. Even then, Roman Dutch law has also characteristics of a personal law in some matters because if a person wants to get married, if he is governed by Roman Dutch law or if he doesn't have any system to be governed, he can marry under the ordinances which are enacted basing Roman Dutch law. Therefore, it is specifically established that Roman Dutch law has a characteristic of a personal law. Because marriage is a personal matter. Now see a gentleman who is living in northern province is governed by Desavalame. That's a simple description which I give. But he must establish that he is a person who has connections with the northern province. A Kandyan person who is living in Kandyan provinces can marry according to Kandyan law. He has to establish his residence in Kandyan provinces and his intention to be governed by that. And he is governed by Kandyan law, but he also can get married according to Roman Dutch law based acts and ordinances because it's the common law of the country. So we are living in a society which is which is having a large number of legal systems. As I mentioned earlier, Canadian law, Desvalame, Muslim law, Roman Dutch law. Earlier we had a system called Pukwa law. It is not prevailing today. In addition, there are large number of acts and ordinances which govern us. Large number of subjects which are governed by other legal systems. I am going to discuss with you Canadian law, Desavalame, Roman Dutch law, Muslim law in detail in my future lessons. Today I am mentioning that how many legal systems and how they are applicable to us, when and where we are governed by them. Now, for instance, constitution. We all are bound by constitution. Constitution explains us what our fundamental rights are mentioned in the constitution of Sri Lanka. So all of us are governed by that. We are governed by constitution and we all have fundamental rights. That is the supreme legislation in Sri Lanka. Then we go to other fields also. For instance, substantial law and procedural law. Substantial law is one thing, procedural law is another thing. But all these things are applicable to us in different situations where we face. For instance, civil procedure. Civil procedure is applicable in civil matters in Sri Lanka. And we find that Penal Code of Sri Lanka. Penal Code of Sri Lanka deals with criminal cases, criminal matters. That is irrespective of our religion, irrespective of our nationality, irrespective of our living territories. These things are governing us. Constitution, civil procedure, the criminal procedure, penal code. We are subject to that. Further, evidence ordinance. Whatever the cases we refer, how we are going to prove a case, it is decided by evidence. Evidence is established and governed and regularized by evidence ordinance. Then we come back to other legal systems, other laws which are available to us. We can say that contracts. When we contracts law, when we enter into a contract, we have another separate system, contract law. Then in the matter of delicts, we have delictual rights and delict law relating to delict applies to those things. And insurance, that is completely a different subject. Insurance law is governed by insurance. At the same time, company law, agency, not only that, partition law. The partition law is a matter where lands are divided by courts according to their rights. But if we have inheritance of something, then we go back to our personal laws. Now, how a Canadian inherits property is different than how a person governed by Roman Dutch law inherits property. At that point, we are of different legal systems. Not only this, we have to think about other avenues also in this matter. That is, for instance, we have municipal councils, urban councils. Municipal law is a different thing. There is another ordinance. We are governed by that. Urban councils are different institutions. We are governed by that. Accordingly, at certain points, we are governed by different legal systems. Then we have to find out other aspects like succession. Now, succession is specifically governed by personal laws. Now, Roman Dutch law succession is one thing. Canadian law succession is one thing. Those who are governed by Tesvalami, they have a different succession. Therefore, we are governed by the situation to which legal system applies. For instance, I want to enter into a insurance policy. Then the insurance law will apply. Insurance law, as far as I know, have no place in our personal laws or in other systems. Say I want to contract a contract. At that point, I am governed by contract law. But that has different other aspects also. One cannot say only contract law applies. Contract law comprises of many aspects. Certain contracts should be in writing. Certain contracts need not be in writing. So likewise, we are governed by different laws according to the circumstances which we face. Then again we find marriage, divorce, according to which legal system you got married, you have to get a divorce if you want. You cannot marry according to one system and get a divorce from the other system. That won't do. When if you get married according to one legal system, for instance, Canadian law, you must get a divorce according to that law. Those are limited applications. People cannot choose what they want, and if they enter into that, they will have to be obliged by that. Now, the succession is a different thing, entirely different thing. Succession. In the field of succession, we can say we can make a last will. This last will is not in our legal systems. It's not in Roman Dutch law. What is prevalent today is rules and regulations which are governed for a person to make a valid will that is prescribed in law. Today, a valid will has to be in writing before a notary with two witnesses. This is the main part of it. But there are exceptions. But any person who can make a will, irrespective of his nationality, say a Muslim gentleman, he can make a will. No prohibition to make it. Say a gentleman who is governed by a Canadian law wants to make a will, he can make a will. Say a gentleman who wants to make a will who is governed by Tesvalmi, he can make a will. Say a person who is governed by Roman Dutch law wants to make a will, he can do that. But he will be governed by rules and regulations which are prevalent in making a valid last will. So no one can say that I am governed by one legal system. It's impossible. It's something like our religions. Everyone is not governed by one religion. We have many religions in Sri Lanka. Likewise, we have many legal systems. Not only that, the field which we face, the circumstances which we face, are necessarily governed by either customary law or enacted law or judgment law. There are there are large number of judge-made laws. Judges are the people who make very reasonable and fair laws sometimes. Because they hear cases, they have a right to make law, they make very reasonable suggestions and they decide cases according to that. Now we see maintenance. Maintenance has a different act, ordinance. Maintenance is governed by that particular document. Now, law is a thing which is changing. Now, earlier the system was that only a wife can ask for maintenance from a husband. Children who are under a certain age can ask maintenance from a father. Today, the system is different. Husband can ask for maintenance from wife. A person who is above 18 years also can still ask for maintenance from his parents. Therefore, we are facing different legal systems in Sri Lanka at different circumstances. I am going to finish this episode.